July 27th, UFC 304. Shauna Bannon returns against Ravena Oliveira. She returns to the octagon. Much awaited return as well. And what a card to be a part of as well, Shauna. Thanks so much. I know you have a super busy schedule right now. Thanks a lot for joining me again. It's great to see you again. Great to chat to you again.
Thanks so much for having me.
304, serious card. You must be delighted to be on it, Shauna.
Literally, when they put it out the other day and I was just looking at all the names, I was like, what an unreal card to be part of. Like, literally, unreal. I wish now it was on normal time, but look, hopefully I'm the first fight of the night. They put out like a little order the other day and I was the first fight. I'm like, and it says, not official running order, but I was like, please be the official running order because I would love to be the first fight and then I can just relax.
Yeah, that's what I was actually going to ask you straight up. I had it written down here as well. The start time. A lot of people have been giving out about the start time. Not super fan friendly, but not super fighter friendly either. Like, I mean,
Oh,
you said, I guess like you would have got prepared for a couple of main events on the regional scene around that time, around that 11 o'clock kickoff time. So I would imagine, it's not ideal, but not that big of an adjustment for you with your training either, all the same.
yeah, like so for me, it's obviously like I'd imagine like even if I'm not the first, I'll be like say the first, second, or third. I'm not gonna be any later than that. Um so it's not a huge that's exactly what it's like. It's basically like being a main card of Cage Legacy. So it's grand. And most of my training sessions, like a lot of pro gyms would have their pro classes in their morning time and they're sparring in the morning time, whereas mine's actually already in the evening. So um like I'd spar on a Tuesday and Friday night anyway. So there's not really much adjustments to be done. Um like I was had in my head like I'll practice napping. Whether that is possible with Jace or not, I might need my mum to help out a little bit more so I can get a nap in. But just to kind of train my body to get a nap because obviously I'll hopefully nap on the day of fight day. So yeah, like a couple of little things, but not major things. Like whereas if I was the main event, now that's a different story altogether. I don't really know what they could do to prepare for that because it's like if you go and do your camp in let's say Vegas or whatever, but then you still have to adjust to the time difference when you come back and then it's a very very complicated one and then like you wouldn't want to be away from your team and then do you bring your whole team over and it's messy like so yeah like I don't God
I
love
can't
them.
even imagine. Yeah, I can't even imagine what it's like. When you're going to be fighting at like 2, 3, 4 in the morning. Like, I mean, if I don't get a good night's sleep, I'm I'm in a bad mood for most of the day. I can't function properly and stuff like
Yes,
that. So I think they're talking. I heard Leon talking about. They said something about going to sleep specialists and stuff like that, or maybe
right.
getting in. You can get in oxygen chambers. I think you can get in kind of sleep chambers as well. But like, it's so hard to kind of get into that groove as well. I'm sure. Look at they've done it before, they'll have to do it again. But I'm glad for you anyway, and you must be glad as well that you don't have to deal with a super late night when you're going over there to Manchester.
100% because like it's just very confusing for the brain like it really is like and I'm sure there's things you can do to make it work like when I fought in Denver I had to sleep in an altitude tent and do altitude like you'll figure out a way but it's just like I never want to see one of them tents again. Do you know what I mean? Like I never want to see one again but I'm sure whatever they have to do they'll do because it's going to be the same for everyone as well. That's the only thing, like their opponent's going to feel the same as them. So
Big time. Yeah, big time.
it's nearly, I think it's nearly more confusing if you're coming from that time, then coming over to England. Like, let's say you're American, or whatever, you're coming from there, that time zone, but then you have a week of that time zone, but then you have to fight in the middle of the night as well. That's a lot more strenuous on the body, I think, than kind of having that the whole time and then just switching. I don't know.
Big time. Yeah, no, it does. It works in both ways. Like whether
Yeah.
you're there, whether you're traveling over, it definitely does. Look at heading into this one, Shauna. You've been getting the head down for the last while. We haven't had a chance to actually speak too much now. I don't want to lean too much on the negative, but obviously coming off the Bruno Brazil loss as well, and I'm sure that you've really like thought about that and compartmentalize that a little bit as well. But in terms of preparation coming into this one, did you have to make any major adjustments in what you did ahead of the Bruno Brazil fight?
Well, I suppose with the Bruno Brazil fight, that was all very like last minute nearly. Like
Mm.
I didn't know whether like I got the contract, I didn't know whether I could take it or not. There was a lot of like I really genuinely thought that I was gonna have to stay with Invicta and fight my contract out. So that kind of went on for a couple of weeks where I didn't actually really think I was going to be fighting, and then I did, and then we were like 5-6 weeks out, and it was all extremely rushed, I suppose. And like I obviously had a fight camp for it and everything like that, but I was dragged here, there, and everywhere, and I don't think I was super focused on the job that needed to be done. It was like the media nearly took over, and that's why, like I did say for this camp, like obviously media is a huge part of being a mixed martial artist, and I understand that, but I think with this fight it's just so important to me to kind of just be laser focused and get the job done. And that's why I kind of taken a step back from the media just for this one. Um to just stay focused. But I got loads of notice. I've had like I will have a full camp for this fight, and I suppose I kind of do have a different approach in that um there's a bit going on in my personal life at the moment. So I'm adjusting daily, whether it be I have to switch sessions around, whether I have to maybe just go for a run or like swapping things around just to make it be right for my head, because I think my head, having that in the right place is going to make me have the best performance. And I'm working with a sports psychologist and a mindset coach. I'm working with Marta since January this year, and like she really helped me get through the injury, because that's like I hadn't fought in so long. I done the jiu-jitsu world, but that just doesn't do the same for me. I got a fight then for March, and then the injury happens, and I was just like, give me a break, like literally just give me a break. And rehabbing that was very tedious, and it was like a huge step backwards. But you know what? I kind of like. I was only thinking about this the other day. It's kind of similar to when I was pregnant, because I had to take a step away and I digested so much information, because I tend to overtrain. It's something that I do. And sometimes I don't digest a lot of things. Whereas, like when I was pregnant, I was obviously still training, but I wasn't able to grapple or spar. And it was a time where I could take in a little bit, and stuff that maybe slipped past and I didn't register, I did when I was pregnant. And I feel like the last few months, like up till since my last fight, I've learned a lot about myself as a human being, like as Shauna Bannon and as Mama B. So I think I've grew and matured a lot in the past few months. Maybe in ways I didn't want to, but life is life, and things go cross your paths, and unfortunately some things are shit and some things are good. So I've definitely, I think, matured as a human over the past few months, and I do think that that's going to show in my performance. I really believe that it's going to be the best performance in my life. I'm so focused on the job that needs to be done, and it's exciting.
It's very exciting for me to hear you in that, that mindset too. And I'm glad, obviously you look at the trials and tribulations of life, the trials and tribulations of the fight game as well. It can catch up on you really quickly before you even realize it as well. I think you kind of explained it quite well there. With that last performance, do you think it was more, I think it was more, me personally, if I could guess, I'd say it was more mental than, skill
Yeah.
disadvantage. You know what I mean? I did, looking at the fight, I didn't think that you started to fight until your full potential until probably around 8 minutes into the fight, to be honest. And and then you started coming into the fight even more in the third round. But I'd say we didn't even see close to your 100% potential in that fight whatsoever. What was it like being in that moment? Did you kind of notice yourself that things weren't working the way you wanted them to work, and it must be difficult to kind of deal with that at the time as well?
Yeah, like I remember when I walked into the cage and Bruce Buffer was calling my name, and it was just like I wasn't even nervous before that fight. It was the weirdest thing ever. It was like I was numb. Like, and I'd get nervous before all my fights, but I was just numb. There was no excited. It was numb. Like there was literally nothing. And then in the fight, I just felt like I couldn't get going. I nearly went back to like a point fight and stuff. And then it was like I was panicking because I knew I wasn't doing what the game plan was, and what I was doing wasn't working. I knew I was losing, and then I was panicking and I was rushing and I was chasing, and I was falling into then her game plan, what she wanted to do. Um, and I do remember that kind of switch where I was like, no, like, and it was probably the third round, I suppose, where I start coming out, but it still wasn't even anywhere near what I'm capable of. Um, so it was so frustrating, and I think that was why it was so hard to accept. Like if I had went out there and fought unreal and lost, I'd still be snapping, but at least I'd know that I left it all out there. Whereas it was my debut, there were so many people that were watching me for the first time, because like I had so much support, which was unbelievable. Like I literally felt like the whole nation was behind me. It was
Shauna,
great. Like,
I'd never seen anything. I swear to God, and I thought about this, and because I don't want to say it like blowing it out of proportion or anything, but I'd never seen any hype like it. To be honest, ahead of a fight, like I could compare it to some of the hype that would be surrounding the Conor McGregor fight. It was unbelievable at the time to, being a part of it. Obviously, speaking to you at the time, seeing you doing the other interviews, getting your shine in the UFC as well. It was absolutely insane, and did it kind of add that little extra bit of pressure on you with the extra piece of spotlight? For, I mean, making your UFC debut in its own right, holds a little bit of pressure and everything like that, and then everything else on top of that, maybe that's why you're maybe making the educated decision to maybe pull back a little bit from media this time around. Would I be correct in saying that?
yeah, like it was definitely like, I suppose your energy levels, like doing interviews again and again and again, and being asked the same questions again and again and again, and trying to be the same level of enthusiasm when you're answering the questions. It's like it's draining. And then I'm training full time on top of that. I have a crazy, like he was 2 at the time, a crazy 2-year old running. Like it was just a lot, and I suppose I never got to refill. Like it was just drain, 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 drain. And then by the time it came to fight night, it was like I didn't have that spark. I didn't have that explosion in me. At the time, I didn't feel a lot of pressure. Like I think I've dealt with pressure my whole life. Like my dad was my coach, and it was always like, oh, she'll win anyway. She'll win anyway. Like when it was team events for, like in kickboxing, there used to always be 4 men and 1 girl, and they'd always be like, I will throw Shauna out. She'll catch up on the scores. Like I always had pressure on me my whole life, and I think I deal with it very well. I think I like pressure in a weird way. So I definitely don't think it was. I think it was just I was drained. I think I didn't give time for me to actually like recharge back up. It was like it was constantly the bucket was being emptied and emptied and emptied, and I didn't recharge it, and I just drained myself. Um, and I've had a long time to get back from that, because it'll be a full year out of the couch. So I'm raring to go now.
Insane. Yeah, absolutely. I was looking on Instagram, right, and a clip popped up from Dustin Poirier, and I was unsure whether I was going to read it out. I wanted to see how the interview went today, but I definitely want to read it out now, given some of the things that you said already. And Dustin Poirier was asked, he about losing, right, and dealing with loss. And what he said when he was asked that, he's like, I know who I am. He said, losing, you find out who you are. Losing sucks, but in those moments when you're down, it's a great time to experience you. When you're winning, you can get this momentum. When everything is going good, you can kind of get into a groove where you're just in cruise control. But when you lose and the phone stops ringing and you're going home to sleep on your own and the dust settles, that's when you experience yourself. That's when you find out who you truly are. Can you relate to that little bit?
I'm actually nearly crying. I didn't see that interview. It's so fucking true. Like it really, really is. Like as much as like I have amazing friends, amazing coaches like Paddy and Chelsea, I'd be lost without them. And I have amazing friends, amazing family. I really have good people around me that genuinely care for me. And you still feel so lost and lonely. Like it's horrible. It's like, and I suppose it shows that it means something to you. Like if you lost and you didn't care, or if you lost, like I've sometimes seen people lose and they just take it so well, but I don't think that's a good thing. Like, I know it's part of it. There's ups, there's downs, there's good days, there's bad days, but you should never be happy about a loss, because if you really love it and this is what you want to do and you want to be the best in the sport, it's not a good thing losing. Like, I know you do learn from it. And like, I've learned so much from my last loss, believe me. And like, I'm grateful for it in a weird way, but I fucking hate that I lost that fight. So like it's just because it means so much to me, and like I've trained my whole life. I've done martial arts since I'm 3. That's 27 years. Like I've literally dedicated my whole life to this. I might have only found MMA a couple of years ago, but like I love it. Like I thought I loved kickboxing, and I obviously do love kickboxing, and it's amazing. And like my years in it were like, I'm so grateful that like my dad's he pushed me in it. He helped me travel the world. Like he gave me so many opportunities, and that's who made me me. Do you know what I mean? But like MMA just, it's just, there's something different. And I think it's because there's so many aspects to it. And like, you'll never stop learning. There's constantly something you can progress in your wrestling, your jiu-jitsu, your striking. Like there's always something you can progress in. So it's not like when you go to a kickboxing class, you do your warm-up, you do your physical, you do your pad work, and then you spar. There's like so much to it. It's constant. So like, yeah.
And it's constant growth. I think that's what we're all looking for, really. Whether it's in life or whether it's in combat sports or me in media. I want to try and give a good interview, and I try to do better every time I speak to somebody or whatnot. But I think that's what MMA from a media perspective for me has given me that level of growth, and I'm sure it has for you. Like someone who's been in combat sports for 27 years, going in there, leveling up every time, skilling up every time, learning new techniques and everything like that, and going through the guidance, obviously, with Paddy as well, obviously gives you that sense of achievement and that goal to work towards too, which is very helpful, I would assume.
Yeah, no, 100%. And it's just, I don't know how to explain it. Like, it's like, I remember my first few months in MMA, and I was like, how have I not found this sooner? Like, but I do suppose everything was the right time because, like, and even like having Jace and like all of that happened at the right time. Like it's just sometimes in the now you're like, oh, what the fuck? But then when you look back and you're like, no, that actually happened for a reason, and there's a purpose behind everything. And like my journey now wouldn't be the same without Jace. Whereas when I found out I was pregnant, I thought my journey was over, but it was actually only getting started, and it gave me more drive than I ever knew. Do you know what I mean? Having him as part of this with me is through the ups and the downs, because he gets me through the downs. I'm like, I'm super grateful to have him there as well through it all, do you know?
Is it a kind of the innocence that is attached to your son Jace as well, and not really knowing what's going on? I'm sure he's aware that you go out and you train and you're competing and stuff like that, but the innocence of maybe him not knowing what everybody else knows, where you can kind of go and find some comfort in that, I'm sure is pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. Like he just watch fights with me and stuff, and like he is really into it. He loves it. Like, and even like he just be grappling with me. And I had him in jiu-jitsu for a while, but I think he's still a little bit too young. He wasn't listening really great. But like he does love it as well. I can see it in him. Like, and I'll never be that pushy parent that I'm like, you have to be a fighter. Like if he doesn't like it, he doesn't like. But I genuinely think he will like it. To be honest, like I can see it in him. He's like throwing his little shots and doing arm bars on me, and like he loves it. He really does.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's brilliant to hear. I just missed you. I was in Vegas in December. You were over there for the BJJ World Championships. We missed each other by a day or two. I was raging, but you went over there probably to scratch the itch of that competitive nature inside you. Obviously, with no fights on the horizon, you went over there. But it was a fantastic achievement. You picked up a gold medal over there in the World Championships as well, and I'm sure you were dead proud to be able to go over and achieve that.
Yeah, 100%. Like I think I was originally going to go to the Europeans, and then the registration wasn't approved, and I didn't have certain things because it's all the different roles with jiu-jitsu. So I was like, Molly said to me, she was like, I'm going to go to the Worlds. And I was like, oh, yeah, let's do it. And it was unreal because I got to like train in the PI. I got to go to a fight night in the Apex. I got to kind of meet all the people in the PI and make them connections. And then I got to fight and become world champion. So it was a successful trip altogether. It was deadly.
100%.
And I was actually so nervous because I was like, I can't punch these now. Do you know what I mean? I can't go to like me. I was like, oh shit. Well, I remember that because they get so hyped, them jiu-jitsu girls. Like it's they're like the
Serious.
way I am for MMA, like slapping
Yeah.
themselves in the face and all. And I was like, what's going on here? Like, I remember me first fight, I was so nervous. And then afterwards, I was like, fuck this, I'm going for this. And then the next two I submitted because the first one I was very like cautious or something. I was like, ooh. And then I was like, no, fuck this, we're going for it.
Yeah, 100% great. And you said, yeah, I saw you over in the PI and in the Apex is there. It's pretty cool arena too. I mean, the benefits that you can get from being in a facility like the UFC PI must be phenomenal, and what they can offer you, Shauna. I'm sure you picked up some great advice there.
Unreal. Yeah, I got all like the different testing and all done. Like they go through all your supplements, your macro. Like it's just the information is unbelievable. You can see why people move to Vegas. When I was at the Apex, I was trying to get down his attention. I was planning on asking him to build a crash in the PI. I was like, me and Jace can bounce over every now and then, but I didn't get his
That's
attention.
hilarious.
But yeah, no, it's unbelievable. The facility is unreal. Like it really, really is. It's deadly.
Deadly, yeah. Look at coming into this fight, Ravena Oliveira is the opponent. When the contract was put down on your lap and you signed it, what was your initial thoughts?
Like, I suppose me and Paddy watched a couple of our fights. I think she's a well-rounded fighter. She's like, she knows a little bit of everything. But she doesn't start, like, I suppose her background is supposed to be striking, but like, I think my striking style actually suits her striking style, if that makes sense. Um, and a lot of her fights were at bantamweight as well. So this is her first time dropping to strawweight. She has had a couple of flyweight fights, but I imagine a lot of her camp is going to be really pushed on the weight cut. Um, but yeah, no, I think it's a good matchup. I was happy with. I was looking to see if I could get the same girl as last time, because I still don't think she has been rematched. She got a different opponent for the March card, and then she got some fever. I don't know, like from a mosquito bite or something. So apparently you can die from it. It's really serious. Like, so she pulled out of that fight, but she still hasn't been rematched. So I kind of suggested maybe her again, but it was this opponent. So, yeah, no, I'm happy with the matchup. Kind of similar. Like, she's 7-2, I'm 5-1, so it's like only a couple of fights in the difference. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's a really good matchup for me.
Definitely, I think it's a great matchup for you as well. And look, I'm delighted. Look at the UFC Apex is where you were supposed to be fighting Stephanie Luciano.
Yeah.
Stark contrast from that experience to what it would be to what you're going to experience, a 3 or 4
Yeah.
packed crowd in a brand new arena. What are your thoughts in fighting in the Apex? Do you does it cost you a thought? Do you mind the fact that there's a crowd there when there's no crowd there, or what would you be thinking about going over there? Because you got a big following.
Yeah.
People will travel to see you fight. That option wouldn't have been available for you in the Apex.
Yeah, like, come here. I always love people there watching me fighting, but I was actually kind of looking forward to fighting the Apex. I think it's kind of like a tournament style, if that makes sense, because it's like kind of gives me the IMAF vibes. Do you know what I mean? Or like
Yeah,
a
100%. Yeah,
kickboxing
yeah.
tournament. So no, I was like, I wasn't disappointed that I was fighting there. Um, Obviously this card is brilliant to be a part of. So, um, yeah, like I think the Apex, I would. I like if they offered it to me again, I wouldn't be disappointed about it. Put it that way. I
Yeah,
think
no,
it's
that
a, it's
makes
a nice, it's kind of like in, out, get the job done, mellow vibes, and you can hear your coach real clear. Like, you could literally hear a pin drop in the place. So it's not like there's loads of people screaming and shout. Like, it's really like tournament vibes.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I get that too. Yeah, so I was just interested to see what you thought of that as well. You're kind of going to be going full circle here at 304 card, Sean. I remember you talking before Kiefer Crosby. It was either a session or a seminar that Kiefer put on. That was one of your first sessions that you did in mixed martial arts. And now here we are, and you guys are going to be able to share the same card at 304. That must mean a hell of a lot for you. And it's crazy
Yeah,
the way things
actually,
work out as well, isn't it?
100%. Because when I joined Paddy's, I was like, right, I'll just do a bit of jiu-jitsu. It was after being like, when I done that taekwondo phase, I was competing constantly, like constantly every other weekend, like, and traveling loads, and it was intense. Um, so I was like, right, look it, I'll just do jiu-jitsu for a while and kind of maybe take a step away from competition. And I think it was my second class, and Kiefer was taking the MMA class downstairs, and he was like, "Are you jumping in?" And I was like, "Ah, no, I'm just gonna do jiu-jitsu." And he was like, "Jump in." And then I just stuck to it. And then I remember, like, I went to one of Paddy's and I was like, yeah, I want to do this. I want to fight in this. I want to go to the UFC. Like, we're going in for it. So I literally switched in seconds. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it really is mad. Like, I even remember the very first time Paddy rang me and he was like, I have a match here for you for a fight. And I was like, do you think I'm ready? And he was like, yeah. And then I was like, right. So then once I had one fight, I was like, when's the next one? When's the next one? When's the next one? And it was just go, go, go. That was through the time where I used to DM girls. I'd be like, hey, how are you? There's a card on this date, this date, this date. Do you fancy fighting me on any of them? I'd say people were like, what the fuck is wrong with her the next? I was just like popping into people's DMs to get fights.
That's so
Oh,
funny.
and it
That's so
got me a few fights as well.
Tell you, taking the bull by the horns. That's what that is,
Yeah.
Shauna. So
Yeah.
it is. But no, it's cool that you get to. Obviously, you'll be on there with Kiefer, with Kaelin as well, who's going in there against Ramon Tavares, and obviously Molly, your good friend and training partner as well, is going in against Bruna Brazil this time. Obviously, so I'm sure that you've had a lot of conversations and stuff like that about Molly going in there to take on Bruna as well. Hey.
Yeah, 100%. We had a chat about it, and I think she has her game plan in her head, and it was the same as what I was kind of saying to her. I think Brona kind of nearly avoids fighting at times. Like she does as little as possible to get the win, and I suppose the cage is ginormous as well. Like that was one thing I definitely noticed the last time. I was like, "Whoa, this is a big cage," so you've so much space to move. Whereas she was just hitting and running, I felt. Then I felt like I was following into the chase. But yeah, I think I'm actually gone over to spar this week with Molly. So I'll have a chat with her again about it. But yeah, I think like I think Molly has to be eating over.
Yeah,
She
I do
has
too.
heart, and like yeah, coming off that last win, and yeah, I think she definitely beats her.
100%. Bruna Brazil, would that be a fight you'd like to get back yourself?
Yes.
Absolutely.
I would
Absolutely.
love that. I would love that. I'd love that for me next one.
um,
100%. Definitely.
heading in here, Shauna, what's your prediction for the fight? How can you see it going out, going down in there? Are you going in? You're obviously, you want to go in and try to get the finish, obviously enough, but getting the win is more important than getting the finish. Is that the mentality that you're coming in with this fight, or you're coming in with a kill or be killed mentality?
No, I think my focus on this fight is performance. I think if I go out there and perform, I beat her. Like I believe my best is the best in the world. So if I go out there and perform like the way I know I'm capable of, I beat her every round. So if it has to be 15 minutes, it has to be 15 minutes. If it's 5 minutes, if it's 10 minutes, if 2 minutes, whatever. If it ends up being that, brilliant. But I'm ready for 15 minutes. And I'm gonna leave it all in the cage.
Love it. Last one from me, Sean. Obviously, big fight coming up. Conor McGregor, Michael Chandler. How do you see it going down?
Connor's gonna knock him out. Defo. Defo.
Defo. Was there any conversations of you possibly being on that card? I'm sure you'd love the opportunity to share a card with Connor and go over there on the big show as well. Was there any conversations? I know the way it lined up, obviously, for the next pay-per-view event, but was there any conversations, or did you kind of put it out there that you wanted to fight there, or what way did that go down?
No, I didn't. I told Mick when like start feeling that my knee was 100% and stuff.
Mm.
I wanted a couple of weeks training behind me with me knee being 100% because I didn't want to go into a camp and then for it to be niggly. And so I like waited until I felt like I was 110%, and then I sent Mick a message and I asked for that card. I asked for the Manchester card. I suppose like me going to America, like I definitely really felt the time difference when I was in Vegas.
Yeah.
And so when I was supposed to fight in Vegas in March, I was planning on going over there 2 weeks before. Because I really felt like I've been to like Korea far away, and I never felt it like the way that flight to Vegas. It was bollocks. Like,
Yeah, when you're over there
um,
in the heat as well, it zonks you when you're there as well. Like, even for
yeah, and
when
it's
I'm traveling
really
from here down there, it does drain you. Like,
yeah. So I was planning on going over for 2 weeks to Vegas in March. So like it's kind of similar, like for the time difference. Let's say at least 10 days, and then I have to be away from Jace for that time, and I have to bring my team over, and they have to be away from their family for that time, and it made more sense for this one like to be closer. And I did ask for it, and I was grateful that I got it because it's like what 20-minute flight for us, literally.
yeah, quick jaunt
Um,
over.
yeah, like same. It's like the food, the everything over there, like it's very similar to Ireland, I suppose. So no, I asked for that, and I'm glad I got it for this one especially. But yeah, maybe the next one I'd like to fight again in November or December, so maybe that one might
That's
be over in the
that's where
States.
it's going. You're always one step ahead of me in this interview. You're always answering what I was going to ask as well. It's great. You're looking to get out there at least once or twice again before the end of the year.
2 times would be great, yeah.
2 times, yeah.
But definitely one more time, like 2 fights this year. At least I would have liked 4 fights this year. You know me, like I'll just go, go, go. Like my first year as a pro, in a 12-month period, I have fought 5 times. So this is like a long break for me. But yeah, I'm ready to kind of go back to that momentum again.
Yeah, you eyeing up maybe another one in the States or later on in the year. I mean, you got the big Sphere show. You'll have Madison Square Garden, I think, later on in the year. Lots of big cards coming up over here on this side of the pond.
Yeah, no, 100%. So like anywhere, like I'm like, to be honest, right? And I've said this from like back in the kickboxing days, it doesn't even matter where you are in the world, because you're just so like I don't do anything until after my fight. I might say the gym and the hot yoga studio. That's about it. Other than that, and me bets. Like other than that, like I could be anywhere. Could be in Mexico. Could be like I could be anywhere. It doesn't really make a difference to me. So wherever the fight is, it is. And yeah, just get the job done. Have a little nose around after you get the win. Find somewhere nice to eat, and then bounce back home to Jason.
Love it. Love it. Well, July 27th is the date. UFC 304 in Manchester in the Co-op Live Arena. Big night for Shauna Bannon. Big night for Irish MMA as well, with lots of other Irish interest on the card as well. Always gracious of your time, Shauna. I know, you put yourself out a lot to the media, and, you don't owe us anything. So I just want to say, on behalf of the media as well, thank you very much for being open and honest, and always giving us a great interview as well. And we wish all the best at 304, and look forward to speaking to you after that good win as well, after on the card, Shauna. So take
Thanks
care.
so much. Thank you. Thank you.